Marvin Krohe lost his brother and niece in a tragic fire just 3 miles away from his home south of Beardstown.
Well, it's still a big loss. Go by here quite often. Always poor when he was here. He'd always be out here in the yard, or kids would be out here. I really miss that.
Bud Krohe's sons Tobias Krohe and Mark Connor issued this statement to KHQA. Quote, Jenny and Bud Krohe cannot rest in peace until this case is solved. We cannot ignore the text messages sent to Jenny the night of the fire with apparent references to a fire. When we learned about the disgusting 911 tapes, we knew then the investigation was compromised. We want justice and closure. Krohe and Connor are referring to this 911 call in which the dispatcher needed convincing that there really was a fire. Beardstown's assistant fire chief told the dispatcher that he wasn't going to respond to the fire unless someone else could confirm it.
You get a county deputy that can run out there. Just send Travis out there and have him call me and tell me what's going on. If they're all standing there and they ain't called it in, that we ain't going.
Tobias Krohe and Mark Connor say they filed complaints with the city of Beardstown against Assistant Fire Chief Keith Reller and Acting Fire Chief Darren Paul. Paul declined to comment for this story. The family also says they filed a complaint in Cass County against dispatcher Damon McComb and filed a lawsuit in Cass County Court last month against Reller and Paul. The city, however, responded to KHQA stating, quote, there are no documents responsive to a complaint at law against the named individuals, nor is the city aware of any complaint at law pending against said individuals, end quote. Frank Williams from Havana, Illinois, made the 911 call that night. As a former police officer, he told KHQA he was very frustrated that night by the prolonged response time by the Beardstown Fire Department. He said the home was burned to the ground by the time he arrived. Williams says no one could have survived the fire by the time he noticed it. However, he said if he would have driven by a half hour earlier, the fire department's response time could have made a difference between life and death. Bud Krohe's autopsy revealed traces of cyanide. Cass County Coroner Wyatt Sager said cyanide is a common side effect of intense smoke inhalation. Sager said a forensic pathologist found no evidence of injuries to Bud and Jenny Krohe's bodies and concluded that they died of smoke inhalation. He thinks a lighted cigarette sparked the fire and that strong wind gusts and 8 to 10 propane tank heaters in the home added to the fire's intensity. This Illinois Fire Marshal's report lists the fire as undetermined and has closed its investigation.
A fire investigation is very complicated and there's a lot involved. And you rely on the scientific method and develop hypothesis. And if you cannot come up with a hypothesis and a 100% cause for that fire, then you have to leave it undetermined.
It's still a puzzle. I would still like to know exactly what happened, and I hope they do get to the bottom of it.